Nathan May is an Arabana man living on Kaurna country in South Australia, and he is a singer-songwriter who released an EP called Reflections a few years ago, and his new single is called Fix It Up. Hi, Nathan.
How are you, Sophie? It's good to be here on Zoom and with the technology we got.
Yeah, it is indeed, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to interview you, given that we're in separate states. And I do have a lot of questions to ask you because you have a lot of things going on in your work life. But first, I wanted to ask about what inspired Fix It Up.
Well, to be honest, I started university a while ago, and we had to write a few songs, especially cheesy songs. And in the university course, it was kind of you had to write all these songs to, and you get marked on them. And so the lecturer told us to write cheesy love songs. So that's how it kind of started. I first started writing it like ages ago, and then I ended up getting introduced to Colin Buchanan, which and then the song actually turned out to be, a lot more flowing than it was as a 23-year-old or something writing.
Yeah.
So it was good to get his perspective on it and help me finish it off.
So it sounds like cheesy love songs weren't really your thing.
No. And I used to think it was, and I kept writing them, which was terrible. But it's all right.
So I'm interested that you said it was for university. So obviously they had a set sorts of songs they wanted you to write. You had to fill the brief.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so that was kind of that section, and then they made us write a whole different other genres of music, and but I thought the kind of fixing a broken heart was kind of pretty cheesy,
Yeah.
So that's where it first, I came up with it. Was at uni.
Well, you certainly sing it with conviction. So obviously when you met Colin and you said that he did a bit of work on it, how did you actually come to meet him?
It was during COVID. I played a gig with James Gillard, who has been a mentor for me in the last few years. And I met him over in Perth in 2019, and we did a gig together just before the Pigram Brothers played. And I emailed him out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm working on an album. Do you mind helping me? Produce it and also give me a bit of direction in some of the songs that I should go for." And he's like, "Yeah, no worries." So he introduced me to Colin when I started sending him all my material. And he said, "I got this awesome guy who would probably be great to do some co-writes and, look at all the songs that you've been doing." And that's how we met in 2021. I went over to Sydney and we wrote a few songs together. And then I just kept emailing them and being like, "Oh, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?" So yeah, that's how that all started.
I've interviewed Colin and he's a very lively individual. So I can imagine that yes, when you're in a room with him, it just keeps flowing, keeps moving.
Yeah, I always embrace his banter and also his just his energy he's got. It's amazing. And I know he does a lot of kids stuff, and they got to have that enthusiasm, I guess.
That's true. That's very,
kids.
Yeah, that's true.
So he must just think I'm a kid, yeah.
I think he just strikes me as someone who generally tries to make the most of every day. I think that's where a lot of that enthusiasm comes from. Now, you mentioned you worked on a few songs with Colin. So does that mean that you have some more yet to record that you're planning to put on an album?
Yeah, so we only just started doing the album in March, which I went over to Sydney and caught up with James, and then we went and recorded at Rod McCormack's studio, the music cellar. And so, yeah, like I've worked on 4 songs that Colin's co-written with, and also Kevin Bennett is also on that album, and Luke O'Shea. So he's introduced me to a few seasoned writers, which was great opportunity. And then I also, James has worked on a few of the songs with me, and Max Jackson as well. So.
All right, yeah. And should say, for those who don't know, James Gillard, he is a member of The Flood with Kevin Bennett. And Max Jackson is this year's Toyota Star Maker winner. And I believe Rod played on the tracks, as well as Andy Leftwich on mandolin and fiddle. And Andy is a 4-time Grammy winner. So you had some very good talent on this track.
Yeah, well, yeah. Once we started recording the track with Rod, he's like, man, Andy would be great on this track. So, and then it all just happened. It was amazing. I just can't even believe it, how just quick it happened, and how well it came out. It was, because I just went up there, didn't really have anything in my head, especially when I did that EP years ago. I was kind of the one calling all the shots, and up there with James, I just was relaxing. I didn't have to do anything, no thinking. I was just like, yeah, that was the best experience. I reckon. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if it felt like a relief to have someone else take the reins, and obviously it was, particularly someone as experienced as James. Yeah,
and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. So, yeah, it was awesome. And to have those guys play on my record, it's an honor,
I can certainly hear that lightness, I think, in your vocal that comes from being a bit freer, from having that responsibility. At least that's what I heard in it. And even though you're singing about fixing up broken hearts, there really is a hopeful tone to your voice in that song. At least it sounds like to me. I was wondering if you felt hopeful when you recorded it.
Oh, yeah, very hopeful. I think anything that I record now, I always think, I've got to hope for the best of all these tracks. But, as a songwriter as well, it's always a great thing to have the song finished and then listen back to it, because I've been listening to it heaps, and I just think of it like, wow, like that's a finished product, and the way I was singing it, it's I closed my eyes when I recorded it, but I was thinking like, oh yeah, is it a hopeful chance to fix the broken heart or not? But I just put a lot of effort into it, and so it come out really well.
And I should also mention there are some bluegrass sounds to this particular track. Were they in it from the start, or are they something that came in when you and Colin started working together, or you and James started working together?
Oh, well, I said to James, I said, I really want the song to be country. And then I think Rod suggested, oh, well, I'm just going to play like this.
Right.
And then just turned out to be really bluegrass. It was, but yeah, it wasn't, because we recorded drums in the track. Mm-hmm. An awesome drummer named Scotty Hills, and he recorded on that track, and then James decided to take the drums out to make it really bluegrass, and he's like, no, we're going to let the instruments do all the drumming, all that percussive stuff. So yeah, once those, because I was like, geez, those, I don't think it's not going to work, but it worked perfectly. I was like, you can't even notice it, that there's no drums in it.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, it wasn't intentional going for that sound straight away, but once Rod suggested it, and then James honed in on it, we couldn't stop that bluegrass from happening. It was lovely.
Now, you started singing in church in Darwin at the age of 3, which is extraordinary. I don't know that many kids can sing at 3, at least well enough to perform for others. Do you have any memories of your earliest performances?
Oh, well, yeah, I was mainly I was singing with like my aunties and all that, and all my cousins who were really great singers. But I was more of I drummed when I was younger, and I drummed in the church. And that's the earliest memory I remember, was drumming with my uncle. He had like this cover band, mm-hmm. and it was at this high school up in Darwin. I think it was like 1997. So yeah, I was born in 94, so that was like 3 years after. And that was the first drumming show I did. and I just jammed with them. That was my earliest memory I remember, and I can still remember it to this day.
How old were you then?
Three.
Oh, you were three when you were
Yeah.
drumming. Oh,
Yeah. We lost the video. I don't know where the video went, but it would have been awesome to get that video again. Because it was a great memory of just a young kid just drumming away. It was, and I could keep a beat. I could keep the beat pretty well as a 3-year-old. It was pretty cool.
So did you continue to drum through primary school into high school?
Well, the primary school I went to didn't have a big music program, which was good because for me, I just lived and breathed it anyway at home, like the music. And when I got to high school, I showed off a bit when I first went in with my drumming and entered the talent contest, and then I stopped, and then I never really got into the music classes. The music teacher would always try to drag me in, but I never was interested in school. That's and that was probably why I didn't do it. I was too busy socializing with all my mates.
And I suppose also if you've got a lot of music at home, that idea of learning it in a formal way, you don't really need to because you're surrounded by it.
Yeah, and that's I kept going to church, and there was like a youth group that would happen every Friday night, and I was a part of the band in that as well. So yeah, there was there was always music happening, and I was always playing music and breathing it, but never in school. Yeah, it was quite bizarre actually.
So when did you start singing? Because you obviously have a natural talent as a singer, but you shaped this voice. So when did that development happen?
I started. I just singing away at like with my uncles and aunties and stuff, with family, like just drumming away on the guitar. And when I was probably about 15, I remember getting an electric guitar. And then when I first came to Adelaide when I was 17, that's when I started really wanting to properly get my vocals going. And I joined a choir in uni and just kept singing as much as I could. And looking back to it, all the recordings I did in my early days, it's a good relief that I've done a bit of practice because I was terrible, But that's everybody's like that. You got to practice makes perfect.
Well, and also probably the better you get, the more critical you are of your earlier self singing.
Yeah, that's true. And but I always had everybody said I've always had a nice tone, and that's what James loved, and that's why I think he was very keen. He's like, man, you just got a natural like tone. Like there's people can really, practice as much as they can and learn how to sing, but the tone is it's where it's at. So I was glad when he said that. I was like, oh gosh. I mean, I was gonna, but yeah, it's so yeah, it was early 17. When I was 17, I jumped up and played an Eagles song at my school talent quest. So that's when I basically started singing.
And I guess because you hadn't been in music classes at school, they might have been a bit surprised that you jumped up at the talent quest and could do it.
Yeah, because it was a few years out of like it was year 8 when I jumped up on the drums, and then and I think it was year 12 I ended up doing the talent contest, so that was a few years apart. Yeah. So yeah, everybody was a bit shocked, and but yeah, it was a great thing to do that, and I couldn't really rely on other people when I was playing music. Like when I was drumming, I had to rely on singers and guitarists, and I was just like, nah, I'm going to start playing guitar and singing myself, so I can just do it myself.
Yeah. Now you mentioned electric guitar. Did you start on electric guitar, or did you have an acoustic before that?
No, I had this old acoustic. It was pretty run down, but I got a brand new electric guitar. It was like a Ibanez or something like that. But yeah, I didn't really hone into the electric. I was more like the acoustic sound. and especially when we're all like just being around family, you can just pull that acoustic guitar out and just start playing, and everybody would kind of hover around. It was pretty awesome. That was when I was like, no, I'm just going to stick to the acoustic.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you might have been about to say something else. I was paused.
No, my phone's ringing. Sorry. sorry, my phone's ringing too.
That's all right. So, as a singer now, what do you prefer, acoustic or electric, to sing with?
Yeah, I've been playing with electric in the last couple of gigs. That's been pretty interesting actually. But I actually like playing the electric when singing, because I just feel like you can just rock it more, and just turn that amp up, and that's one thing I've been enjoying, is getting on the electric now and just strumming away and trying to find a few riffs that I can try to pull off. No Keith Urban or anything, so yeah, I'll stick to the basics.
Keith is a very good guitarist. Now, did songwriting start as an extension of you playing and singing? Like you were playing other people's songs and then you thought, I want to create something for myself to play?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, I used to muck around on like my computer and stuff, and I was very interested in hip hop, so I used to rap as a young kid, and so I always used to be able to write, kind of like rhyming and like rhyming patterns. I used to be able to be all right at it. So the songwriting stuff first started when I came to university, and like the actually singing songwriting style of telling a story was I was watching Paul Kelly, and Archie Roach was probably one of my inspirational people that got me into trying to tell a story. When I back in the days when I used to listen to Took the Children Away, and I always just thought, man, I just want to write songs like that. So yeah, it was only when I started university that I really looked into the kind of ways of writing, and how they write, and different ways of and writing songs. That's how I really got into it, was just studying it and really looking into it.
And have you enjoyed it, or did you enjoy it from the start, or was it a process of just kind of finding your way as a songwriter?
I started enjoying it, but you always get those days where you just couldn't write anything. Like that's what the days I hated. And the really good songs came in those quick minutes of like, you sit down there and you got a 5-minute song, which is probably the best song that you've written, and it's taken you like months. I didn't like that process, but I think what I fell in love with it when I also started collaborating. I think that was probably the biggest turning point, was when I started collaborating with other songwriters, that I was like, geez, yeah, I really want to be able to collaborate, but also I want to learn from these awesome songwriters to be able to sit there and not get stressed when I'm trying to write something. I just use some of their strategies and tips that they've given me along the way. So as the last few years, it's become a lot easier and a lot flowing writing songs. So I have been enjoying it in the last few years, but before that it was kind of getting frustrating.
I suppose those were the apprenticeship years when you're just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and everybody used to be like, man, that's a good song. You need to write another song like that. I'm like, oh, so you're not liking the other songs I've been writing? Yeah, so
sometimes I guess for non-songwriters it can seem like, oh, they just pop out so easily, because by the time they hear them, you're playing them and singing them and it all seems lovely, and it seems like it must just be easy.
Yeah, it's no, and then that's when I figured out I just I got to do my thing, and not have to try and impress everyone with the songs. You just do what you're passionate about, and that's telling a story that you love.
Now, I was reading that you met former US President Barack Obama in 2011, and he encouraged you to follow your dreams. So at the point of having that meeting, did something spark in you, or was it later on that it had an impact?
No, it was pretty straight away. Like, I can remember the day I met him, and like it was only a few minute conversation. Got a bit of a picture with him, and that night I went home and I was just like, I really need to get out of here if I want to do something. And Palmerston, where I was born and raised, and Darwin there wasn't much there. There wasn't much at all. And the people that were getting out were the people that were going away boarding school for footy or some kind of sports. So I just bit the bullet and kind of just applied for university, and I got out of there pretty quickly. It was the last couple of days of school that we were going back and forth. My school was helping me get down there. I didn't really have much support with family to get down. They didn't really want me to leave. I think that's why. And it all went from there. It was pretty much that quick spark of Obama just saying, you can do and be whatever you want to be, especially in a small town like that, and meeting a big figure like that.
Yeah.
Me and Colin wrote a song about it, so that will be coming out soon.
Jolly good. Now, I saw on your social media there's a short documentary about you called Living the Dream, and in it you say that you hope music is a way out and a way to break a cycle for young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. What is the path music has taken you on?
Oh yeah, it's taken me on an awesome journey to experience new things and break a cycle where I was hanging around. Like I said, when I was in high school, I was more of a social person. I was going and doing the wrong thing and getting suspended, and it was actually really crazy. I hit a teacher when I was 14. They were going to press charges on me, and it was that point where I was like, well, if I'm going to be spending time with these other guys who are doing the same thing, well, I think I have to fix that if I want to get away or want to better myself. So I had to break that cycle, and it's great. I had a lot of mentors up in Darwin, ex-footy players, and who were in school as well. It was a Qantas Foundation program, and that kind of got me away from this vicious cycle of Darwin. And as much as I love my people and my family up there and my friends, I just had to get away from it. And I'm happy I did, because I've been able to travel the country, play music, mentor young kids, give them a bit of hope, and having a male figure to inspire them, because at the end of the day, in our community, there's not many male figures around besides sports players, and there's not many people doing music. There's very few of us, and especially in the country scene, it's not there's only very few of us doing that as well. So it's pretty awesome to be able to be a mentor for young kids, and that was that cycle breaker, was to help younger people, and to do the same thing I did, was move away from home and chase something that they wanted to do.
You're mentoring, but you're also teaching songwriting workshops in schools. So clearly for you, this is, because you're still a young man, this has been a quick turnaround from you being mentored to you teaching children. What do you enjoy about teaching songwriting?
I think it's finding the different ways for them to write, like at a younger in high school, because I go in and do the stuff in high school kids. I don't think many of them realize the opportunities you can get if writing songs, and being able to play your original songs at a gig. And I don't know, people don't know how important it is to do that. With young kids, and the thing I enjoy is when they write their songs, and you help them figure out other ways of trying to write it because they're so used to writing their way. And you just give them ideas of, oh, maybe switch this around, switch that around. And then the eyes light up and they're like, wow, this is that's the wow factor is kind of where I that's what makes me keep doing that, because those kids, they're writing really good songs, but they're getting driven from other people as well, coming outside as well. And it's and I'm still learning myself, so that's what I tell them, and they absolutely love it. So yeah, that's it's one of my driving things that I love to do in my spare time.
Which you don't have a lot of, from what I understand, because you play a lot of gigs.
Yeah, so it's but yeah, I do anything to help the younger people and our future leaders. That's what I love to do.
Now, it looks like from the look of your social media as well, you have a young son. Now, he is only a baby, but does he have a guitar yet?
No, he just plays my guitar, and I've got a couple of ukuleles just sitting around, and I actually bought him a drum kit, which is kind of me and his. It's kind of an excuse now to just buy new things. So I might have to get him his own guitar, but use it also. He loves music though, and I'm not trying to force it on him. I'm just letting him come in and check it out, and if he likes it, he loves to dance. He loves Fix It Up actually. So interesting. He only loves my music sometimes.
Oh, well, that's good. He's got his taste sorted from a young age.
Yeah, so that's I'm glad that's okay. I'd be pretty disappointed if he didn't like it. No.
So do you have any regular gigs around about South Australia where people can catch you, or are you mainly on the road around the country?
Mainly on the road, and like I try and get a show in at the end of the year, a couple of shows in before the year wraps up. And obviously I also get a lot of those corporate stuff, so you can't just, and people always want to watch a gig, and they're like, when's your next gig, and it's like, oh, I got to organize one. So I'm hoping the Wheat Chief here in Adelaide's got a spot open. They're always pretty helpful to me, and so I'm hoping to get a gig at the Weedio, do a kind of end of year thing at the Weedio every year when something pops up. So hopefully that's going to happen. If not, there'll be something popping up, I'm sure. So
people can keep an eye on your social media and your website, perhaps, to find out.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it goes. And then mainly most of those ones are the ones that just pop up last minute. It's like, oh geez, Nathan, can we fill this spot for us? So I'm like, yeah, no worries.
Well, they're very lucky you're so adaptable to be able to fill last minute spots. But for those people who can't see you live, they can listen to Fix It Up, and it sounds like there's new music coming soon. So Nathan, I'll look forward to perhaps to talking to you in the future about the next music that's coming. But it's been a great pleasure to talk to you about this music. Thanks for talking to me.
No worries. Thanks, Sophie.